What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Hopefully your week is going all right. I know for the most part the week has been pretty good for myself. I went on a nice little streak there where I had some consistency. Unfortunately, today that all came to an end, and I understand that obviously losses are a part of this game, but it's the way that I lost today that's a little upsetting. Happened to lose a little bit more than I should have, and the loss is a little bit larger than it needs to be as far as just, percentages on managing those wins, managing the losses. So this is just happens to be a little bit bigger, and it just goes to show that, still got to work on the risk management. I ended up taking $194 loss today. The account is at 750 bucks. I dabbled in TTD twice and JWN twice. So I will quickly go over those trades. As far as TTD, gapped up, looked good on the daily, all-time highs. The thing that got me on this is it's an extremely low float stock, only 6 million shares outstanding. And what I did is I happened to take the trades relatively quick off the open, and I got chopped up in the 1 minute mess, which is funny enough something I've said before, and it happened to be that way. There was an opportunity, I think, for this to potentially be a really good trade. It just didn't work out. I took this at 47.52, 3 minutes into the day. So on that, or I think it was right there in this candle, on that fourth 1 minute candle. So, a couple red candles, took a dip below 47, and I was trying to anticipate the red to green move on this, especially being that, I guess it could be a crazy mover. And, just popped up over the VWAP. VWAP was at 47.45. And that is right where I went long, 47.52, and ended up, quickly getting out. My stop was going to be right around that 47 area, and it started to come down with, a lot of force, and was watching the time and sales, and it really started to speed up on the downside. So I ended up just cutting it for a 32-cent loss on 100 shares. Not bad. It was the next one that the loss was a little bit bigger than it needed to be, and once again, I think because it was a low float, it happened to have such an aggressive movement that by the time I got out, it was bigger than it needed to be. So I ended up giving this a second shot right in this area on the break of 48. I took it long at 47.93, and it had a quick pop up to 48.25. I wanted to hang in there and give this thing a shot. Ended up, failing to move higher a couple times, then finally rolled over, had a very fast washout. I got shooken out in the washout and took almost a 60-cent loss. It should not have been this big. Really was only looking for like a 35 cent loss, and it washed out so quick that that's just what happens with these stocks sometimes, I guess. And I happened to take a little bit of a hit there. Obviously, this thing has continued to just make an absolute monster move. And funny enough, when I go to a 5-minute chart and let the first 20 minutes go by, which are can be crazy, this thing sets up nice on a 5-minute. Has, shakes around a lot in the morning, and then finally reclaims VWAP, kind of little flag pattern on a 5-minute chart, breaks above a whole number. What was it, 48? And this thing just has a beast move. So thought process as far as going long was right. I just got chopped up on the 1 minute. So that was TTD, JWN. And, it just happened to be that TTD is where I had a lot of time and effort, and JWN was the trade. So I feel like a big part of this game is having your eyes on the right stocks, and I happen to not be on the right stock, especially quick off the open. JWN was the trade. So this thing gapped down. Retail does not look good on the daily. Not the cleanest of a daily chart, but with retail getting beat up so much, I thought that there was a chance to have a quick move in the morning on a 1-minute chart. Nice little 3-bar play. First move down, pushes up, fails to come close to the highs, and then rolls over, breaks through a whole number, 43, also pre-market lows, and this thing just continues until 41.57. So there is, over a point in there, which would have been kind of that, the one good trade, right? That one and done, especially on a Friday, take the trade and call it. And I missed that because I, had my eyes on TTD. So switched over to a 5-minute chart, and wanted to try to get a really good entry on this. So, little 5-minute flag pattern, right? Like I've seen, plenty times before. So I wanted to give this a shot on that 5-minute flag. Ended up taking it short at 42.02. Had a stop above the previous candle. Ended up getting quickly stopped out at 42.25 for a 23-cent loss. Not terrible. It's not, a massive loss, but, I was 0 for 3 on the day. Probably should have considered maybe, calling it, especially being that it was a Friday. But I really thought that JWN had the chance to, sell off and be an ugly looking, intraday chart. And then I ended up taking it again right here on the 5-minute. This little nasty dip just below 42. I took it short at 42. The low of it was 41.90. So it was 10 cents, in the money before this finally, reclaimed 42 and then quickly squeezed. And I ended up getting out over the candle. The previous candle high was 42.25. I ended up getting out at 42.29, so just over that high for a 29-cent loss. So that was it for me. I ended up, some of the losses were a little bit bigger than they really probably needed to be. The trades on JWN are, in my opinion, okay. It's kind of in my wheelhouse. Some things that I've tried before that have worked. The TTD is where, I made the mistake of, I should have recognized that, being that it's such a low float, that this thing could move, very sporadic and irregular in the morning, especially on a 1-minute chart. And I ended up getting caught up on the 1-minute chart. But, obviously going to a higher time frame, this does look a lot cleaner. So I got caught up in the crap, and I took some losses that were, a little bit bigger. The first one was okay. It was really that second one, losing almost 60 cents on that second trade because, I had such a fast washout that by the time I was able to get out, it happened to be bigger than it needed to be. So, the risk management today wasn't the best. I over traded a little bit. And, because of that, the loss happened to be a little bit bigger. It has been a nice run that I've been on. So, obviously expecting losses in between, you can't win forever. But, it was the way that I lost that was just, a little disappointing. And I happened to get back, a little bit more than I wanted to. So that's just how it goes. The account is at $752. So I'm kind of just floating around this range of, right around that range, and trying to just put together some consistency and continuously grow this account. So, that's what I'm going to continue to do. And as far as the recaps, I'm going to San Diego tomorrow, and I'm going to be gone for a week. So there will be no videos for like 10 days. I'm going to kind of go MIA, and I'm going to just I'm going to step away from the market, enjoy San Diego, enjoy vacation, enjoy family, and just try to clear my head and just get away from trading, and come back, ready to continue. So I hope everybody has a good weekend. Trade safe next week, and I will see you guys when I get back.